Welcome back. So previous video we saw the respiratory system. Now from the respiratory we will be moving on to the GIT, that is the gastrointestinal tract, and here we'll be first covering the peptic ulcer drugs. Peptic ulcer. So in this peptic ulcer we need to know that there are categories such as gastric acid secretion inhibitors. Okay, so whatever inhibits the gastric acid secretion, so we'll only focus on this first. So here we have H2 antihistamines, that is the H2 blockers. Under this there is cimetidine, then ranitidine, famotidine, roxatidine, just to name a few. There are 4. And then moving on to the next category, there is anticholinergics. All this comes under this GA acid inhibitors, gastric acid inhibitors. So under this there is pirenzepine, propanthaline, as well as oxyphenonium. Next, moving on to the other category, under this gastric acid inhibitors, there is PPI, proton pump inhibitors. Under that, there is pantoprazole, omeprazole, lansoprazole, esomeprazole, then rabeprazole and dextrabeprazole. Okay, it's easy. So it's pantoprazole, omeprazole, then esomeprazole, lansoprazole, then rabeprazole, then dextrabeprazole. Now moving on to the next category, under the gastric acid inhibitors, there is prostaglandin analogs. Under this prostaglandin analogs, we have this misoprostol. Moving on to another category under this. So there are 4 categories only under this. Just to recap, H2 antihistaminics, anticholinergics, this PPI, and this PA analog. Let me just highlight that for you. There is PPI, H2 antihistaminics, anticholinergics, and then there is the prostaglandin analogs. Okay, it's PG, prostaglandin analogs. Now moving on to the other category, we can call it the gastric acid neutralizers. So before I go ahead, let me just make it clear. So the broad headings are: first one, gastric acid inhibitors. Second, if you are inhibiting the gastric acid, other thing you can do is you can neutralize it. Okay, neutralize it, that is another step. Third, you can also use ulcer protectives in case it progresses, ulcer protectives. Then we also have anti-H. pylori. So So now currently we are done covered with the GA, that is gastric acid inhibitors. Now we are going at gastric acid neutralizers. That is this. Okay. Now here under gastric acid neutralizers there is systemic, as well as there is the non-systemic. Okay, in this systemic it includes sodium bicarbonate as well as sodium citrate. Under the non-systemic there's magnesium hydroxide, and then there's magnesium trisilicate, then aluminium hydroxide, I guess it's valency 3, and MgOH2, I guess. Okay, then we have magaldrate, and then there's calcium carbonate. Okay, so these are the non-systemic. Just to recap, let's just highlight and read. So we have the gastric acid neutralizers, this systemic and non-systemic. Under systemic we have this and then this. So it's done. Next we'll be looking at another category, that is nothing but the ulcer protectives. Under the ulcer protectives there is sucralfate and sodium bisulfate. I'll just write it. Sucralfate and then colloidal bismuth substrate. Okay, these two categories. Now moving ahead, we have the anti-H. pylori drugs. Under this anti-H. pylori drugs, it's divided into examples like, I'll make it simple. It is, let's write azoles first. That is, we can have metronidazole, and then tinidazole. Yeah, so we're done with azoles. Now we also have amoxicillin, and then we have clarithromycin, then we have tetracycline, as well as colloidal bismuth substrate. Yes, so we are done with the drugs used in peptic ulcer. Now let me I won't run through the entire thing again, but I'll just tell you, in case of peptic ulcer, how should the treatment be. So just going to recap the broad headings again. First one, use gastric acid secretion. First, you inhibit the gastric acid. Second, you can neutralize the gastric acid. Third, you can give ulcer protectives. And fourth, you can also give the anti-H. pylori drugs. Okay, these are the headings. Now under this, again, gastric acid, it has H2 blockers, anticholinergics, proton pump inhibitors, as well as prostaglandin analogs. Okay. Now going to the gastric acid neutralizers. Under this, we have systemic as well as there is non-systemic. Then ulcer protectives, there are a few examples such as sucralfate and colloidal bismuth substrate, and then anti-H. pylori we have another class of drugs such as tinidazole, metronidazole, amoxicillin, clarithromycin, and tetracycline and CBS. Now moving ahead, we are done with the peptic ulcer. Moving ahead, we will be looking at the antiemetic drugs. Antiemetic drugs are nothing but which prevent the vomiting. That's why it's known as antiemetic. So under antiemetics, again going through the broad headings, antiemetics. Okay, the broad headings are: first, there is anticholinergics. Okay, and then there is H1 antihistaminics. Third, there is neuroleptics. Also known as D2 blockers. Then there's also prokinetic agents. Then there is also the 5-HT3 antagonist. Then there is NK1 receptor antagonist, and then there is adjuvant antiemetics. Okay, just I'm reading it again: anticholinergics, H1 antihistaminics, neuroleptics, D2 blockers, prokinetic, and 5-HT3 antagonist, NK receptor antagonist, and then adjuvant antiemetics. Now looking at each examples individually. Now we'll be looking at anticholinergics. Under anticholinergics, there is hyoscine dicyclone, and then dicyclomine. Then moving on to the next category, that is H1 antihistaminics. Under this, there is promethazine, then diphenhydramine, then dimenhydrinate. There is also doxycycline, doxylamine. Then there's meclizine, also known as meclizine. Okay, now moving on to the neuroleptics or the D2 blockers. D2 blockers. Under neuroleptic D2 blockers, first we have chlorpromazine. There is triflupromazine. There is prochlorperazine. We can see chlor both places. That is here. There is chlor, and here also there is chlor. Okay, chlorperazine and prochlorperazine. Now moving ahead, we'll be looking at the next category, that is nothing but the prokinetic agents. So under prokinetic agents, it includes metoclopramide. Let me write it down: metoclopramide, as well as domperidone, then cisapride, mosapride, and then there is etopride. So these are the drugs. Next, we are moving on to the 5-HT3 antagonist. 5-HT3 antagonist. Under this, there is ondansetron, granisetron. There is palonosetron, as well as ramosetron. Okay, now moving ahead, there is a class of NK receptor antagonist. NK receptor antagonist. So under the NK receptor antagonist, there is aprepitant, and next is fosaprepitant. So prepitant part is constant, and you have A and then fosa. Okay. Next there is adjuvant antiemetics. This is optional, we can just note for information. Adjuvant antiemetics. Under this adjuvant antiemetics, it is again it includes dexamethasone, there is also benzodiazepine, there is dronabinol, as well as nabilon. Okay, now we are done with antiemetics, and to remember this we need to read it again and again or watch it again and again. I'll just summarize it in brief. Like, antiemetics is the topic. So under this we saw classification, that is we had anticholinergics, then we had neuroleptics, we had 5-HT3 antagonist, there was the adjuvant antiemetics. Now we have missed out a few, that is it includes H1 antihistaminics as well. Next we also have the prokinetic agents. Then after the prokinetic, there is also the NK1, the receptor antagonist. Let me just number it. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in case of antiemetics, we need to know that there are 7 categories, and then we need to be mentioning all this. So in MCQ exam we need to know everything, so that is the main focus here. Next, so we were done with 2 as of now, so let me just write it down. So peptic ulcer is done, and peptic ulcer. Next we also are done with antiemetics. Okay, this is also done. Now moving ahead, we will be seeing at laxatives, and then we have another class of drugs that is for diarrhea. Okay, laxatives are nothing but is used in case of constipation, that is inability of the stool to be excreted. So that we are going to look at now. So it's laxatives. So under laxatives, there is, I'll just show the broad headings. That is first one, bulk forming agents. Bulk forming agents. After this, there is stool softener. After this, there is osmotic purgators. And after this, there is the stimulant purgators. Okay, these are the broad headings. Let me highlight. So bulk forming, stool softener, osmotic purgators, and then we have the stimulant purgators. Now looking in detail, firstly moving on to the bulk forming agents. Okay, bulk forming agents. Under the bulk forming agents, there is the dietary fiber, also known as bran. Next, we have the psyllium, known as plantago. Then we have aspergilla, as well as methyl cellulose. Next, moving on to the next category, there is stool softener. So under this stool softener, we have docusades, shortly known as DOS. Then we have liquid paraffin. Okay, now moving ahead, there is the osmotic purgatives. Under the osmotic purgatives, it includes the magnesium sulfate, magnesium, please ignore the valency, and then there is sodium sulfate, and then sodium phosphate, then there is also sodium potassium tartrate. Okay, also there is lactulose. Now next is another interesting category, that is the stimulant purgatives. The stimulative purgatives itself is again further classified. Under this there is diphenyl methanes. Second, we have anthraquinones. Next, there is 5-HT4 agonist, and also we have fixed oil. This anthraquinones is amodins. Okay, let me repeat again. So we have diphenyl methanes, there is anthraquinones, there is 5-HT4 agonist, and fixed oil. Now covering it individually, we had looked at diphenyl methanes. So under this there is phenolphthalein, there is bisacondyl, then there's sodium picosulfate. Okay, now moving ahead, another category under the stimulant purgatives is anthraquinones. Under anthraquinones, it's also known as amodins. Okay, so under this there is the famous, there is Senna and then Cascara sagrada. Okay, now another category includes 5-HT4 agonist. Under this there is prucalopride. Other one being category being fixed oils. It includes castor oil. Now we are done with the laxatives, whereas I'll just be mentioning the other names for these laxatives. So laxatives, also known as purgatives or cathartics. Okay, so we need to know all this. Now looking at what is there, firstly the broad categories as I mentioned: bulk forming, okay, second being stool softener, third being osmotic purgatives, and then fourth being stimulant purgatives, which are further divided into, I'm not writing it down, so it is further divided into dimenhydrinate, anthraquinolones, then 5-HT agonist, 5-HT4 agonist, and then fixed oil. Okay, you can just remember it by fade. So you have F, you have A, you have D, then 5 in place of E. Okay, now I'll just read it out again. So bulk forming there is bulk forming agents, there's stool softener, there's osmotic purgatives, and then there's also the stimulants, that is fade. There is fixed oil, anthraquinolones, then diphenyl methanes, as well as 5-HT4 agonist. Now we have the last category in case of GIT, that is the drugs used in case of diarrhea. Let us quickly learn that as well. So in case of diarrhea, okay, these are the drugs used in diarrhea. There are 3 to 4 categories. First one, we can call it antimicrobial drugs. Second one, we can make it probiotics. Third, we have for inflammatory bowel diseases, that is IBD. Fourth, we have non-specific anti-diarrheal. Let's just recap. It is the antimicrobial, probiotics, the inflammatory bowel disease, as well as non-specific antidiarrheal agents. Now let us go deep into what we are learning, that is antimicrobial drugs. The point I'm mentioning almost the maximum number of drugs is so that we are able to retain the maximum. So now we have this, there is the mnemonic which I made. In 8 we have ampicillin, tetracycline, then there is erythromycin. Okay, next there is also norfloxacin as well as ciprofloxacin. Then there is norfloxacin is over, ciprofloxacin is over, rifaximin. Next there is also cotrimoxazole. Okay, and they have metronidazole. So these are the antimicrobial agents. Now going further, we are looking at the probiotics. Under the probiotics, there is Lactobacillus plus species. There is Bifidobacterium bifidum, Bifidobacterium bifidum. Then there is also Streptococcus faecalis, Enterococcus species. There is also Bacillus clausii, as well as Saccharomyces boulardii. Okay, Lactobacillus species, Bifidobacterium bifidum, Streptococcus faecalis, Enterococcus species, and then Bacillus clausii, and then Saccharomyces boulardii. Okay, now moving here to the next topic, heading, that is, we have the inflammatory bowel disease. Under the inflammatory bowel disease, it again includes, let me show the broad headings first, that is, it includes 5 ASA compounds. Next, it has glucocorticoids. Next, it has immunosuppressants. Okay, now reading it individually, let me just recap. 5 ASA compounds, this is in case of inflammatory bowel disease. Then there is also glucocorticoids, and then we have the immunosuppressants. Now looking at them individually, the 5 ASA compounds, under this there is the sulfasalazine, then this mesalazine. Next we also have the balasaline. Yes, it's balasaline. Balasaide actually. And then we have the olsalazine. This is Zide. This is Zyme, olsalazine. So let me repeat it. Sulfasalazine, mesalazine, then balsalazide, and then olsalazine. Now moving ahead, looking at the glucocorticoids, this all comes under the IBD itself. So glucocorticoids, under the glucocorticoids there is prednisolone. Let me write it. Prednisolone, and then hydrocortisone. Okay, this is by enema. Now next, same under this category of inflammatory bowel disease, there's immunosuppressants, which can also be acting. Under these immunosuppressants there is, one second, there is IMAC, and that is the methotrexate, azathioprine, cyclosporine, as well as infliximab. Now let me just recap the topics we have covered under the inflammatory bowel disease. So under this we have seen 5 ASA compounds. It's 1, 2 is glucocorticoids. Third is, we have seen immunosuppressants. Okay, now moving ahead, we'll be looking at the non-specific antidiarrheal drugs. So it is nothing but the non-specific antidiarrheal drugs. So under this non-specific antidiarrheal drugs, we have, looking at classes, absorbents or adsorbents. Next there is anti-secretory drugs. Then there is anti-motility drugs. Let me just repeat it. Absorbents or adsorbents, anti-secretory drugs, and anti-motility drugs. Now looking at it individually, under adsorbents and absorbents, under this there is aspagula, then also methylcellulose, also choline as well as pectin. And moving on to the other class, under the non-specific, it is anti-secretory drugs. Under the anti-secretory drugs, there is resicadotril, then there's also bismuth subsalicylate, as well as anticholinergics. Then they have octreotide. Okay, these drugs: resicadotril, bismuth subsalicylate, anticholinergics, and octreotide. Now, moving further, the last category under the non-specific anti-diarrheal, there is anti-motility drugs. Under the anti-motility drugs, there is codeine, diphenoxylate, also loperamide. That's all. So now I'll just recap the non-specific drugs. So non-specific anti-diarrheal. So under this, we saw the three categories, that is absorbents or adsorbents, and the second being anti-secretory, and the third being anti-motility. Okay, that's all. Let me read it out again: absorbents, anti-secretory, and anti-motility. Now, as a whole, I'll just be summarizing the diarrheal drugs. Where is it? It's here. Diarrhea drugs. We have the antimicrobial, then the probiotics. We also came across the IBD, inflammatory bowel disease. Then we also saw some non-specific anti-diarrheal drugs, non-specific drugs. So under this, the inflammatory, we saw three categories, that is the 5-ASA, and then glucocorticoids, and also immunosuppressants. Then here, under the non-specific also, we have seen the absorbents or adsorbents, then anti-secretory, and then anti-motility drugs. Okay, absorbents, anti-secretory, anti-motility. Now what I will be doing is I will be summarizing the entire outline of what we have just covered. So firstly, we have seen in case of the GIT, the main diseases encountered are, firstly it is the peptic ulcer. Yes. Next, we have also seen what is known as the antiemetics. Third, we have seen the laxatives that is used in constipation. And the fourth, we have seen the diarrheal drugs for diarrhea. So as soon as the GI topic is being spoken, we need to reflect on these diseases. So there is nothing other than this. So diarrhea, laxatives, peptic ulcer. So under this, I'll just be summarizing the topics under this. So under this, we had the gastric acid inhibitors. Okay, it included the H2 blockers, the anticholinergics, proton pump inhibitors, prostaglandin analogs. Next, we had the gastric acid neutralizers. Okay, so under this, we had the systemic and non-systemic type. Then we had the ulcer protectives, and then we had the anti-H. pylori. Moving ahead to the next one, that was the antiemetics. Under the antiemetics, we saw the anticholinergics, the H1 antihistaminics, then the neuroleptics, as well as the prokinetic agents, kinetic agents. We saw the 5-HT3 antagonist and the NK blockers, receptor antagonist. Then we also saw the adjuvant antiemetics. Okay, repeating it, we've seen the anticholinergics, as well as the H1 antihistaminics, neuroleptics, prokinetic agents, GHT3 antagonist, then NK antagonist, as well as adjuvant antiemetics. Now I'll just read this again. That is gastrointestinal inhibitors. This is under peptic ulcer. Gastric acid inhibitors, neutralizers, and then ulcer protective anti-H. pylori. Now moving on to the third category. So under laxatives, what we have seen is the just the outline, that is bulk forming. Also the stool, it's softener, osmotic purgators, and then we have the stimulant purgators. Okay, so under stimulant purgators, we have further seen, let me cover this again. See, bulk forming, stool softener, osmotic diuretics, osmotic purgators, and then stimulate purgators. Under this, we have also seen categories such as fixed oil, 5-HT4 agonist, and anthraquinones, as well as diphenylmethanes. Now lastly, what we have just recently covered, that is the anti-diarrhea. Under this anti-diarrhea, we have the antimicrobial, as well as probiotics. Then the drugs used in inflammatory bowel disease, that includes 5-ASA, glucocorticoids, and immunosuppressants. Then also the non-specific, that includes absorbents, antisecretory, and antimotility drugs. Let me cover it again. Antimicrobials, probiotics, inflammatory bowel disease, including 5-ASA compounds, glucocorticoids, and immunosuppressants, and non-specific, that includes absorbents, then antisecretory drugs and antimotility drugs. So you can take a screenshot of this. This is going to be helpful outline of what we have covered. And thank you for watching. If you want to stay connected, you please do subscribe. You can see the further videos as well with notification. Thank you. All the best. Thank you.